a while back, I don't know how far back, Long, because I'm coming to you with this one to lead into this one. We talked about Psalm1, who's a musician, educator from Chicago, and she was with Rhymesayers, and she talked about some experiences that she had, discrimination within the label, and there was a big movement on Twitter that was going on about that. And she actually wrote a huge piece about everything that happened. It's almost like she had to go through the entire process. She even said she had to hit rock bottom before she could come out and pen this piece. And it's titled Ain't No Human Resources in Hip Hop. There's a picture, pretty dope picture of her that's drawn on here. And she kind of goes into detail about everything that happened while she was with Rhymesayers. One of the quotes that I pulled, and Lone, I'll come to you. She said, "I was determined not to be seen as a token female rapper, a vagina to round out the Rhymesayers dick swinging club." That's tough. Like, she didn't hold back at all on this entire piece. But Lone, jump in, because I know this is one of the suggestions that you actually brought to the table for the show.
Yeah, we had briefly mentioned or talked about the Boycott Rhymesayers thing that was sparked earlier this year, or not sparked, but launched, I guess.
Yeah.
And this is just really kind of I don't know if it's necessarily the conclusion, but this is the first time that I think Psalm has really kind of addressed everything and kind of stated her entire experience with Rhymesayers, from the very beginning when she was a Chicago rapper and she got signed to an independent label that, was kind of idolized in the underground, from the 90s, being from the Midwest, and the abuse that had taken place, the lack of support from her record label, Rhymesayers, just kind of the neglect, if you will, of not even necessarily like believing her, but not even giving her the respect of being an artist, and following through with somebody who you're supposed to be supporting. So she documents all that all the way down to, the things that happened, all the way to, where we're at today. So it's a very good long read for anybody who's in the music industry, especially the hip hop industry. I think it's penned more so. I mean, she's sharing her experiences with Rhymesayers, but one thing that I've seen her, follow her on Twitter. I've met Psalm a few times, or I guess only once, but I know her, and she's and I've interacted with her, and so I've been following this for the last handful of months. What she's really kind of showcasing here is her side of the story, or she's kind of exposing hip hop in general. And I think that's what the title of the whole article kind of alludes to, with being there ain't no human resources in hip hop. This is just her experience with one sector of it, who was supposed to be a more progressive sector of it, of all these things, and so, I think it's a great read. I've dropped the link in there for everybody to check out if they want to check it out. But some of the things that kind of stood out to me was just the fact that, for a long time, I remember her being signed as the first lady of Rhymesayers. I remember somebody from Chicago, a woman rapper, saw him when I wasn't overly familiar with. This was right when, you had moved to Chicago, Mike, 2007, 8-ish. And I okay. And I wasn't overly familiar with her, but I knew of Atmosphere, and I knew of some of the, the acts that were affiliated with them, Murs and Felt and all that stuff. And so, it's just so interesting to follow this story. And even the fact that I'm pretty sure that we interviewed the main artist that she's talking about when he came to Indianapolis a few years ago. She didn't mention any names, but I sat down and had a conversation.
I remember. I remember.
I was there for
so
that.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so it's we never put that interview out for reasons that were beyond our control, but it's yeah, man, I don't know, man. It's definitely exposing a lot, and I think this is all something that we've kind of known for a long time. There is no type of there's nothing that really kind of regulates any of this outside of like public opinion, you know, and the fact that this has been something that has been brewing for a while, but it now has been brought to the forefront because it's almost essentially been politicized, as she also kind of shared in the article, is an interesting thing, you know? And I think that's one of the biggest thing. This is something that was very easy to kind of to look at and grasp at or glance at and just kind of ignore and keep moving. You know? So.
Well, if you look at, there was an article that I, you know, we just in conversation, we were, you know, going through possible topics a week ago or so. And Reason, there's an article about Reason, who actually did an article with Revolt, talking about how he was sick and tired of the double standards that women face in the music industry. He talked about some of the issues that his sister went through in terms of being an artist and how she damn near didn't even want to do music anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like it's starting to, more of these articles are starting to come out when you talk about, you know, the double standard, and there is no way to, like you said, HR this. There's no way to report certain things like this because everything is so tight knit and crews and, you know, but I didn't get a chance to read all of it, but I got a chance to get started on it before we came on. She is not missing words. She's not holding back at all. It's 100% authentic. It's thorough. She's not cutting any corners, any punches, and it seems like it's honest. It's sincere and like therapeutic for her as well to get all this shit out and just put it out there so people can read it and absorb it. So I say kudos to her for being able to do that and come to grips with it, you know, and taking his head on. She said she had been to therapy.
It's 2017.
About 4 years dealing with this and everything that she had gone through. So for her to come, as she said in the article, to hit rock bottom and actually come out with this article, I think that's extremely dope. And, you know, I hope it helps her from a mental standpoint, but also brings awareness to, you know, some of the things that people are actually seeing out here, because she's not pulling this shit out of thin air. And with Reason, like, there are certain things that clearly are going on. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
yep.
Did you guys, Jay Moore, I don't know if you got a chance to, I have to send you the article. I know you remember that we talked about it a while back.
I dropped a link in the chat.
Did you get a chance to read it and take a look at it?
I did. This is the thing. It's sad, but anytime I read one of these accounts from any woman, especially who's having to deal in a mostly male dominated industry. I mean, in most industries in this country are male dominated, but even more so when you're talking about hip hop. It's sad. I'm never surprised at the things that are said or the things that unfortunately women have to experience, you know, and I think that women in hip hop have a really hard road, you know, because I said even the women who are successful, or what you would claim to we'd see as successful, you know, it's like, I can only imagine the things they have to deal with behind the scenes, you know, from, you know, whatever hip hop's version of the casting couch is to, you know, and I'm not even talking about artists. I'm talking about executives, you know. I'm not sure if anybody watched that special about Russell Simmons. That was hard to watch because, you know, like I always wanted to give Russell the benefit of the doubt, but it was hard because he seemed to have, there was a real MO he had, you know.
Russell was out there bad in that doc. Russell was out there bad.
All the women looked the same. All of them had basically the same story. And the thing is, it's not like everybody, you know, because everybody likes to run that, they just looking for money. No, these women were looking for money. Right. You know, they were. It was just a situation to where, you know, they had really been done wrong by Russell. And I know it's two sides to every story, and we weren't there, but it's you know, and these are 3 or 4 women's stories. There's probably a story in the West Coast, down South, East Coast, up North, Canada, wherever you are in the music industry, there are women who've had to go through this sort of foolishness, you know, and it just, I think it makes it really hard for the women artists because, like, you know, I know in the last episode I was super hard on, I think, Megan and Nicki Minaj, but it's like, think about what they have to do and to put up with to just get their music out there to people. You know, and unfortunately, and we've talked about this a little bit before, to where they don't even let women grow up in hip hop. You know, whoever you are when we meet you, that's who you have to be.
Are.
Okay, so all right, Megan, this is who you are. We don't want an introspective personal record from you. We need more ass shaking anthems, and this is what you need to do until we can't get any more from you, and then we'll get the next 23-year-old girl with a sassy mouth, and then we'll move on from her, and it'll just be a cycle. It's women in hip hop, women in, I don't want to just say it hip hop. I'm talking because I've been in corporate America and seen the stuff that women have to put up with. So
I mean, we've all seen it, especially in from a corporate America standpoint. Like, everybody's been in the office and the conversations that go on in the office and stuff like that. And it's crazy, but it's very similar to your point about what you're talking about from a hip hop standpoint. Like, it's sad, but the shock value, I believe it 100%. I'm not saying I don't believe it, but the shock value is really not there, because I could see what she's saying happening, and that's the unfortunate part about it. Spoolz, you got anything to add to this one? I know we went a little long on this one, but I still want to hear from you if you got anything else to add before we get out of here.
No, I haven't read the article, but I do intend on reading it. But I remember when all that shit came out about Rhymesayers some time ago. But I'll tell you what, I was a little bit surprised, because I thought, kind of to this point Sean made before, that they were more progressive. Like they were, they were underground, man. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like they were big superstars and all that other shit. But end of the day, I mean, I don't know. But the way that the world seems to be in, a lot of of our societies in the world, as far as like male dominated and shit like that, I'm not surprised when I hear about this stuff. So it's real unfortunate. It also needs to change, much like what we were talking about before. But no, I want to read this article and kind of just try to understand her perspective even more.